Welcome to the Parkinson's Disease Education Show, where we demystify the disease and empower you as the person with Parkinson's disease to reach your true potential. The content contained on this show is for informational purposes only and is not meant to be a replacement for information or advice that you receive from your in-person medical or therapy professionals. If you haven't already, I hope you'll consider subscribing, and for an even more personalized experience, please ask us about our memberships. Now, without further ado, let's start the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to, if you came to our earlier live, this is Dr. Michael here for the What's Next Wednesday live stream. And we are live on Facebook and YouTube this afternoon. So I hope those of you joining us will say hello and give us a shout out in the comments if you're here or in the live chat watching. And I'll be sure to highlight your comments and welcome you. And for those of you watching, please do like the video. That's the only price of admission to join the live stream this afternoon. And without further ado, we'll go right into what we're going to be talking about this afternoon as a typical What's Next Wednesday entails. We're going to be discussing the next upcoming episode of the podcast on YouTube and the audio podcast, as well as a couple of special announcements I wanted to make today regarding other future content that's really important for you to know about. So Happy New Year, first of all. And well, if you're joining us again for the second time today, welcome back. If not, then welcome for this live stream. So this coming weekend, the next episode is going to cover the causes of dyskinesia in Parkinson's disease. So for those of you who don't experience it or aren't familiar with the term dyskinesia, dyskinesia is an abnormal movement pattern that's an uncontrolled movement that happens with persons with Parkinson's. It can happen in young onset as well as folks that have been diagnosed at 55 plus with Parkinson's. Honestly, it really depends on how long you've been on levodopa in particular, because dyskinesia tends to be related closely with levodopa medication. And the longer you take it, the more likely you are to have dyskinesia and need medications to counteract that dyskinesia. And so dyskinesia is more of a it could be in the trunk, it could be in a limb, it could be your head, it could be any particular part of the body that's moving, and it tends to just move nonstop. Particularly though, you will have dyskinesia. Most often it happens at peak dose, which means when your levodopa dose is the highest, meaning overall you can move better and function more. Ironically, the dyskinesia tends to be worse at that point. Although there is a subphase or subtype of dyskinesia called diphasic, where it can happen at either end of the dose spectrum. Not that that's super common, but that is something that can happen as well. In previous episodes of the podcast, I've covered the differences between dyskinesia and dystonia. You might want to check that out for further information. But the specific topic of the upcoming episode is the causes of dyskinesia. So, and if you got the hint already, it's related to levodopa. So we're going to be diving into kind of what's happening at a deeper level to result in that side effect happening from taking the medications, the very meds that are particularly supposed to help you with Parkinson's, which is an irony of the situation. And it's unfortunate, but it is definitely the case that it's medication induced most often. So that's the main topic of this coming episode this weekend. And typically speaking, it's around 8 o'clock Central Time that I release those episodes as a premiere. Last time it was a little bit later, but like 9 o'clock, but it will be in the morning, typically on Saturdays. So the plan is to have it as early as possible this weekend. But before you go, I want to give you a couple more announcements that are really important. And I'm really excited about these announcements. So the first announcement I have is that this month, I'm going to be hosting a webinar, It's called 5 Things We Wish You Knew About Parkinson's Disease. Essentially, if there's 5 things I wish every person with Parkinson's knew right at the time of diagnosis, this would be the topics that I would want them to know. Something that I wish that people knew right away off the bat, so that there's not that you shouldn't have that experience of maybe a little bit of more, almost a mourning, if you will, of like, oh gosh, now I've got a chronic disease. Nobody's going to fault you for having somewhat of that feeling of dread or mourning, but there should also be infusion of hope into that diagnosis, into the situation, because it's not the end of the road when you have a Parkinson's diagnosis. It's definitely the beginning of a different life and lifestyle and a lot of changes, but it doesn't mean life is over. So these 5 topics are going to be discussed in the webinar, and there's 3 separate dates and times. I won't go into that detail right now, except to say the first one is going to be next Wednesday, a week from today, on the 8th of January at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. And these webinars are completely free of charge, but they are required to be registered for. So there should be a link in the description to this video, but I'm also going to put it up on the screen so that you can see it. Hey, Ian, thanks for joining live. Good to talk to you. I hope you had a good Christmas. I'm going to put it up on the screen live right now so that you can see it, and you can go to that link in the description at a later time if you want to. It's pdeducation.podia.com/webinars. I put that in the live chat, but I'm going to go ahead and pop it up on the screen there so you can see it. pdeducation.podia.com/webinars. Please do consider coming to the webinar. I'd love to have you there. And there's over 8,100 subscribers on the YouTube, and I've got almost 2,000 followers here on Facebook. So I would hope I could get at least 300, which is my goal, and I'm going to cap the attendance at that. So would love to have you at that. The second thing I wanted to mention is that I have a special interview coming up with Dr. Jonathan Sackner-Bernstein. For those of you who have heard of him, do let me know in the chat if you've heard of him or his work. But if you haven't, I think you'll be really interested in hearing about what he does, who he is, and what he does. He's a physician, MD, who is really devoted his career to bio research, and particularly in the Parkinson's community and field, neurological field. And he has come up with some potential breakthroughs in how Parkinson's is treated. And the hint I would give you is it's not the same as traditional levodopa. It's not the same approach at all, because looking at basically the root causes of what happens to the cells in the brain with Parkinson's, he has really some knowledge about what happens at the cellular level I had never even heard before, which is very interesting to me. And intriguing, and it kind of makes sense. So the principle of dopamine toxicity is one of the things we're going to be talking about in an interview I'm doing with him next Wednesday at 9 in the morning, Central Time, US. So we're going to do an interview with him, and he's going to also be revealing some results of a trial that's just now about to publish results as of the first of the year. And so he was hoping to have this podcast in this time of the year so that we could talk about it publicly. Now, one caveat to this is I want to invite everybody watching this now or later, and all of our subscribers, non-subscribers, whoever's watching this, you're more than welcome to come to the webinar, to the interview, but it is going to be a private event, and it's going to be an event that's only open to our members on YouTube. So, but if you want to spend literally the price of less than a cup of coffee to come or to join the membership at the lower level, you can join any level, but you can even join the lower level. You can come live to the interview and ask questions live of Dr. Bernstein. So, or of either one of us, but especially him since he's the guest. Obviously, he's going to be the one that has the most knowledge that people are going to want to ask questions from him. So, if you're interested in that, please join the membership at the AMA level at the least, and I'll be posting in the members area as we go live with that live stream. It will be a public video after the fact. It just won't be available to the public for question and answer until after that stream. Well, it will only be available while it's live, and then we'll release it as a public video afterwards. So that's about it for announcements, and excited to bring Dr. Bernstein onto the podcast, and really looking forward to our conversation. And I really do hope we have some people join us for that live so that we can have some questions from you directly to him. I think that would be fantastic. So, and the webinar, of course, that's going to be also something exciting. And there's 3 different dates and times to choose from, so you don't have to choose one time. If you come at any one of the times and dates, it's going to be the same webinar that I'm going to be giving. So just at separate times. So yeah, be sure to come this weekend for that premiere of the dyskinesia, causes of dyskinesia video that we're going to be releasing. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the live chat and have some conversation and chat while we're doing that. So see, Ian's live, or at least he said something live to us while we were on today. Didn't see any comments from anybody else, but if you're watching the replay, comment replay, let me know you're here, and I'll be sure to give you some love in the comments too. Thanks for being here, those of you who have joined already. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and let you get on with your New Year's Day. You're probably off today, hopefully. But if you're not, hope you have a great rest of your work day. And I'll catch you later this week. As always, be empowered.